seed for hemp oil is the lack of oil pressing plants. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we looked for years at attempting to grow soybeans. They don't quite work in our climate, but rapeseed, which makes canola oil, does. One of the difficulties of having a major transition to that industry is having oil pressing plants for it. So you get an infrastructure backlog as you move into a new technology. But
well, couldn't you look to the Canadians to see how they've done it? And see how they've implemented it?
These technological questions on how to do this have been solved, or they're being addressed around the world. It's just we haven't been addressing them. Yeah.
You can go to the website, the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance. Do a search for that, Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance.
Wow.
And that's the industrial hemp non-profit organization in Canada. And you can learn more about it from that site.
Okay, we have a question here.
Which parts of the state have the right climate for it?
Which parts of Washington State have the right climate for it? It really depends on the varieties. My guess is the best parts of the state would be the eastern part of the state. I mean, it's all about heat units. You know, I've got friends here in Seattle that don't have a ripe tomato yet. That's about heat units. You know, you can't grow a really good crop of fruit over here simply because it doesn't. You can predict when grapes are ready to harvest by looking at how many heat units per day over months. You know, and so my guess is, just like silage corn, eastern Washington with the deep volcanic soils and plenty of heat, my guess is that's where commercially is going to come down.
I got a question.
There's another great thing about farming with industrial hemp, and that is that it puts nitrogen back in the soil. So it's great for crop rotation. We can get, instead of using a bunch of fertilizer, you just crop rotate. You got a field full of nitrogen. Did George, you mention that at all?
No, I didn't. And that part of the crop rotation, in normal farming in America today, there really is only one crop that we use nationwide, and it's alfalfa. And the way it fixes nitrogen, there's little nodules on the roots where symbiotic bacteria allow it somehow or other to fix nitrogen. And nitrogen is very difficult to deal with on a chemical basis, but these little critters have figured out how to fix it and put it in a way that it's utilizable as fertilizer. And alfalfa is the only commercial crop in America. Well, clover will do it as well, but that's just virtually not used. But the utility of what he has just mentioned in terms of fertilizer you don't have to buy, fertilizer that doesn't have to be hauled halfway across planet Earth, and you know, et cetera, that's a huge additional reason to do this, to plan to do this, to reconfigure our agriculture to get it done. Okay.
I testified last year at the Oregon Senate about the industrial hemp law, which actually passed in the state of Oregon in January. The department, I've been in contact with the Department of Agriculture with Mr. Jim Kramer. He's the lead on this. I've been involved with Professor Russell Carroll from the Oregon State University Crop and Soil Science Department. They're all very interested, and they're also very frustrated about doing this. 2 months ago, I wrote a letter of recommendation that was requested from me by Mr. Gordon Shifley, who is the chief seed breeder for the Ontario Seed Alliance up in Canada, who applied for a grant from the Canadian government itself for $500,000 in order to actually fund the research in the top 10 tiers of states in the United States for industrial hemp, and for the Canadian government to approach the DEA to drop it. Now, I don't know if it's going to go through, but I wrote this letter for him because of his request. So
I was just going to say, to comment on that, you know, essentially they need to change the federal law to allow farmers to grow hemp, and who's going to ask the DEA to do that? You know, is it going to be the USDA? Is it going to be the Canadian government? And who's going to ask that? And what it comes down to is we're getting people to ask that. And so the fact that you're writing that letter, thank you so much for doing that, because people just need to speak up to really have their voices heard. And all of the offices are saying the same thing, and that's that we're not they're not hearing enough about this. You know, this is everybody on the panel is really saying this is really a simple solution, and it can be used so many different ways, and there's just not enough people talking about that.
Well, and as this thing ramps up, like going up a set of stairs, one of the things that happens when, like the state of Oregon passes the law that says our farmers can grow hemp, all of a sudden the director of the State Department of Agriculture gets on the different side of the issue. All of a sudden, it's his job to find out why the hell can't my farmers grow hemp.
Every director of the State Agriculture of every state is now endorsed. Every state.
And when we get letters from citizens to Washington, D.C. saying, let's grow hemp, when you get a letter from a state agency, it has a very different impact. So this political effort is essential to solving this problem once and for all. But anyway.
All right, hey, let's give this panel a big round of applause. All right, hey, if someone could scrape up Ngaio from the green room.
Yeah, he was somewhere.
Yeah, we got Ngaio Beelam coming up. Wait, heck, stick up, hang around. We got 4 bands, but you got to hear this guy.